Hey folks, Mike here today with some thoughts here on Yakuza 0. As usual for most of my videos, this is going to be as spoiler-free as possible. I'm not going to talk about any story specifics, I'm just going to talk about my overall thoughts on the story. And to avoid any spoilers here, we'll play a premium adventure, which is basically a way to continue all the side stuff that you have not done in the main game once you've completed it. So, yeah, let's just talk to her. Oh, I probably have an interview, right? Yeah, let's do an interview for this job. So this is going to be one of the side things that you tend to do. In this case, it's an interview, but a lot of cases you'll talk to people and, you know, try and resolve whatever predicament they're in. And it's very similar in structure to what we're going to be doing here. But anyways, yeah, I got this on through a Humble Monthly, I believe. I'm playing on PC, on Steam. I'm playing with Xbox One controller. I believe this game is $30 Canadian on Steam, about $20 US. No, actually, as of today, I checked. I do know that they come down on sale reasonably often, so. Anyways, that is Yakuza 0. It's the first in a pretty long franchise. In terms of chronological story order, this game came out after Yakuza 5 but before 6, if I remember correctly. So it serves as a prequel to all the games that came out before it. I believe most of these events were kind of referenced to in some of the other games anyways. But yeah, I'm not too sure how it ties in with the remakes as well, because the remakes came out after this of 1 and 2, so Kiwami 1 and 2, which are remakes of the first two games. I kind of looked it up real quick. You know, do they consider that you've played this game, that it now exists, and maybe don't backstory as much? But from what I've seen now, they still will backstory a little bit, like the originals did, as a way to kind of set the stage if you haven't played any of the other games, which is totally fine. Yeah, this is a story game first and foremost, right? Crime drama story. Covers pretty much any topic you want, whether it's, you know, there's love story, there's murder stuff, backstabbing, double crossing, you name it, this game's got it. It's a pretty long game, 35 hours, 17 minutes according to the in-game time on the completion screen. I think Steam was around 38 hours, and I know I've got a good 3 or 4 hours of idling, whether, you know, going to the washroom or taking a quick break or, you know, what have you. I normally save and close games, but sometimes I have to do stuff and I'm in the middle of something. And this is a pretty long game, and I've been putting in pretty long play sessions compared to most games, because it really is that good. I've had a lot of fun playing it. So, yeah, in terms of story, kind of touched on it a little bit. There's 2 different characters as well. They each have their own story. You put a lot of time switching between them. Both of their stories happen, you know, in the same time. There's a lot of loose ends. There's a lot of holes and stuff. And the further along you get, the more you start seeing how everything ties together. You start seeing a lot of those loose threads being cut off. And I like how they've done it, right? Everything joins up at the very end. You're not necessarily left with a cliffhanger because, well, you've got 5 other games after this, right? So if they had left you on a cliffhanger, well, you know what to expect, because yeah, like I said, there's 5 other games that followed it, or actually 6. That's right, because 1 through 5 were out, but 6 is also out. And there's technically 7, which also kind of continue. It's not Kyriu. It's not this guy. This guy, who's the main protagonist. But it still kind of continues the off of where some of these other games, or off of where 6 ended. So all these games, in case you're wondering, all the Yakuza games are all sequential, right? They all happen over time in the same universe, the same people, for the most part. So usually it's kind of important to read some of this stuff. I'm kind of reading it sideways real quick. I'm also reading some of the notes I put together to try not make this a half-hour long video, but I have my doubts that it'll be anything but half an hour, if not more. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have in terms of story. Overall, yeah, a lot of good stuff. You know, you learn about the characters, you learn about everyone, a lot of people's backstories. There's a lot of different characters, but I strangely have not had a problem keeping track of everyone because everyone's kind of got their own important story and details and stuff. So it's made it really engaging and interesting to follow everyone. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who is where in some of the future games, because I am a little bit familiar with the franchise. I've seen some of the games before. I've played some of them a little bit here and there throughout the years. So I'm familiar with some of the stuff and some of the characters and where some of the bits and pieces go. But this is my first time playing through one of the games and really getting to experience everything from start to end. So expect the next couple weeks to be more Yakuza videos, because I fully intend on playing the entire franchise. I have 0 and Kiwami 1, which is a remake of the first game, on Steam. And on Game Pass, 0 through 6 are available. So obviously I'll play the Steam versions when I have them, and then I'll play the Game Pass versions. So yeah, a little bit of context in terms of gameplay. This is generally kind of a brawler game for the combat stuff. There's a lot of side missions and activities and stuff you can do. You know, I did say I beat it in 35 hours, 17 minutes, with 27% completion, which is not a whole lot. It's a pretty small percentage, all things considered. I'd say I spent a good, probably close to 10 hours doing side stuff. But the percentage can go up pretty fast, because a lot of the side bits I've done some of it. I've done a little bit of everything, but I didn't put in the time to do everything. And so the little bit I did is like the long bit at the very beginning. Let's point out an inconsistency. I did catch the dish thing. I think I saw traditional in, and then and she learned from traditional Japanese in. She learned from that. Not taking over. Well, let's do a summary, because I think that's the one. Because the dishes she talked about were not Japanese. So this is probably going to be like the other interview I did, which person was just here to scam us for cab fare, which seems kind of silly, but you know, it is what it is. I guess I got the right answer. I'm sure there'd be more than one answer here, actually, but you know, it is what it is. This kind of gives you an idea of some of the problem-solving side stories, if you will. So, yeah, in the bigger story missions, the stuff is normally voiced. In this game, I don't know if there's an English voice option. I should have checked. Not that I care, anyways. The Japanese the subtitles are good enough, anyways. So I'm not necessarily picky on that. We might be able to take a quick look. Oh yeah, well there you go. 20,000 yen. Kyriu's getting his dropping some knowledge there. Anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of fighting and stuff. That's what kind of ties a lot of the story beats together. I'm not a huge fan of brawlers generally, but I found this to be relatively enjoyable. You know, the game feels okay. I wish it was slightly more responsive. The music goes a long way. The effects, you know, hitting stuff can be pretty brutal, and it does have a nice kind of weight to it when you're fighting. So it does make that a little bit more fun and engaging, I suppose. So this is one of the other side stuff. So let's go ahead and get our money from our real estate hustle. Need to get someone else on duty. Should be good. So what I'm doing here, I've got 2 buildings in this district so far. So I'm investing money in. As the ranking goes up, as you invest money and the ranking goes up, you can get more profit. So yeah, you kind of want to do that. And then here, so this is going to make the economy go down, so I'm going to choose someone else. Now, do that. He's only got 1 star left, so, but the economy's in level, so I should be okay. Otherwise I might have to engage in a money battle, which involves you spamming the A button on an Xbox controller. But anyways, we'll head out, see if there's some other side thing I can do, some other side activity. But yeah, ultimately, there's a lot of side stuff. Like I said, I don't have a super high percentage. I only did 27%. But that's because I did a lot of the intro missions to a lot of the side stuff. And so a lot of those missions, you do spend a lot of time doing them. Hey, we can do a little bit of fighting here. Alright, so you got 3 fighting styles. Oop. So you got your... Okay, I get it. These guys seem a little stronger than usual. So you got your brawler, which is your kind of big beefy... is it brawler? No, beast. Beast is your big beefy thing. Brawler is this guy, which is kind of your middle ground. And then you have Rush, which is your much faster. Less damage, much faster. Again, there's use cases for each of these styles. Brawler is nice because of picking up stuff. Picking up stuff in a different way than Beast is picking up stuff. Brawler, you can pick up stuff as brawler as well. It's not quite the same. And I'm getting beat up in a way that I'm not used to. Anyways, so yeah, as you hit them, you build a heat gauge. As they hit you, you lose heat. Heat is the 3 bars below the health. Heat allows you to, move faster, hit harder, use some special abilities to inflict big damage. And there you go. Yeah, so real estate stuff, I can We'll buy some of these places and invest in them, and we can run around and keep buying some areas that'll give us more money, which we can then buy more places, which we can then invest more. And it's one of those things where it very quickly, it almost spirals out of control in a sense. Like the profits come in and they roll in real quick as you buy up more and more. But anyways, yeah, we've done some of these side bits. So like the real estate is like one of the bigger side mechanics. There you go. This is why this mode is oof, as I get jabbed. Oh, come on. There you go. Bicycles are very effective at taking out people. So yeah, the nice part about Brawler is that I don't explicitly have to sit down and, or I don't have to stop above the items and pick them up. As you do your normal attacks, you pick up stuff and hit them with it. So you got different, different gear. They all have different stats and stuff, so I can get this cash mining or the secret stash. Basically, there's a guy who shakes you down for money. It's pretty hard to beat, so you can hide money from him. Some of these items have different things, so items, I get like a bit of a radar here, sound as I get near them. There's also weapons, which I've not used very much at all throughout the game. They can definitely give you a bit of a hand in some instances. And yeah, I'm just trying to see arcade games. I mean, these are classic games. There's not much to show there. Mahjong, I'm not great at that. Is there a side? We could do the karaoke. That's a side thing I could do. Oh, hey, there's a money dude. Hey, get out of my way. Let's go fight him. If you want an easy $1 million. But yeah, my one complaint about the combat is that it feels very one-dimensional. Like, there's different combos and stuff. Well, 14 million. Okay. I guess this new game thing, that makes sense. The enemies seemed a bit tougher than I remember. And then that guy gave me more money than I remember them giving. But yeah, like, I didn't really change equipment all that much throughout the game. And as you can see, I've got some unlocks, but not a whole lot of them. And like, I still have the outer ring unlocked on both of these. And most of the levels I unlocked, yeah, like the 100,000, 300,000, 200,000, like the 300,000 part and the 200,000 part, I only put those in at the very, very end of the game, just because I was struggling a little bit. But generally, it would have been like Rush here. I didn't put in much beyond the first 2 tiers on both characters throughout the game. So, some of these will give you different abilities and stuff, which I've not had to use different combos all that much, honestly. So, it is what it is. I think on the plus side, it does make the combat kind of accessible to anyone because it's not particularly difficult. Especially for me, I'm not great. I'm not a huge fan of these games, and so I kind of appreciate that. But at the same time, like, it's nice to have all this stuff, but I don't know. Definitely didn't make use of it. Who knows if this is going to copyright strike, but hey, it's YouTube, right? I could talk about a game and get it copyright striked, which is pretty hilarious. I've done a I remember doing a video on a certain EA game which had 0 assets from that game, and it got copyright strike just based on the tags. And so I had to disputed it because it was just like, yeah, it's wild. It's wild that they can get away with striking stuff like that. Literally because of my tags. I'd even have a screenshot of the game when I talked about it. But, okay. Whew. I'll point out, I still have to think about what buttons I press on an Xbox controller. I'm not playing this game. I finally got a bit of a hang of it, but I don't, I'm used to PlayStation buttons, so yeah, I'm using that as an excuse, but in all seriousness, I don't generally play with an Xbox controller. I generally play with the PlayStation controller. And so playing this game, especially the karaoke bits here and there, have kind of gotten used to the Xbox controller. I still have to think about the buttons a little bit, but I can generally get it fine. So yeah, it's one of a handful of other side games and bits and stuff that you can do. So there are side activities like this throughout the game. Yeah, pool, darts, dancing is in the game as well. Batting cage, more arcade stuff. Cat fight, betting, circuit cars. Yeah, there's just all sorts of stuff. There's a whole lot to offer. It's a pretty good, fun game. So this is one of 2 areas that you'll spend your game in, because there's 2 characters. They each have their own area. They'll mix in with each other. I could probably talk to this guy and do this. We'll talk to this guy and listen to his little side story thing. So the nice part is I can always cancel out of it and be like, no, we'll do it later. Right? There's no fail states in this game as far as I know. Even if you do fail, you get a chance to redo it. So that's kind of a nice thing in terms of design as well. They always give you a chance of, like, if you're going to get locked into something where you can't, like for instance, you're going in for a big fight or a boss battle or whatever, they'll give you a chance and they'll be very explicit and be like, hey, you won't return for a little bit. Be sure to get, do side stuff you might want to do. Be ready, buy equipment, whatever. I generally haven't had to do any of that stuff. Like, just make sure you have a couple healing items, I guess. That's about the extent of repairing that I've done. And yeah, I think it's nice that knowing what I know about this game, it's nice that you don't have to do all the side stuff. You don't have to do it because it doesn't integrate to the story, which I wish there was maybe a little bit of integration, but that adds complexity as well. But you could do it after the fact, right? There's a specific mode, which I'm in right now, to go back and redo all this side stuff. So knowing what I know, I probably spend just a little bit of time on the side stuff, but I'd push it all to the end. I found that most of it is amusing, but I prefer to do the story. I spend a bit of time at the beginning, or quite a bit of time at the beginning doing some of these side things, and then after that I decided, nah, I'll just follow the story. So I could say I'll pass. But I could totally come back. I could totally come back and do it whenever I want. So with that said, I think that's about it. It's a fun game. You know, I've had slight technical issues here and there. I've had my inventory go all scrambled and like impossible items being slotted in. I've had it happen between picking up a mission critical item and getting to the location to drop it off. Having said that, I've had it happen a few times in really long play sessions, and saving. I saved a new slot just to see what would happen, and in doing that, it actually fixed it. So it seems like your actual inventory is fine, but there's something in the UI that, you know, overflows or whatever and just scrambles everything. Because basically, some of the items were like, "Hey, you should never see this developer item," or you know, some of the components for the RC car were like in the inventory kind of thing. Well, maybe not components, but I had equipment in the inventory and like food stuff as a weapon or something. It was really weird. But yeah, saving fixed it, and I was able to continue. I think that's about it. There's not a whole lot else to add. Like, there's a ton of side stuff, like I said. Yeah, it's a great game. Oh yeah, I wanted to see if there's... Right, there's sub-stories. There's 100 sub-stories total. You could see Kyriu, I did a decent amount of them. And then that was early game. Then going to Majima, I didn't bother doing much of it. Just seeing if there's audio. I guess there's no, yeah, I guess for this game there's no English voiceover. I think the later games put that in as an option, but then I'm used to these voice actors, and I read the subtitles, so I'll probably keep it that way. But yeah, that's Yakuza 0 in a nutshell, really. Really fun game. There's a lot to do. I really like the story, I like the characters, I like where they've gone with it. It's a solid foundation to work on. Yeah, as in, I'm playing all the games, so I'll probably see you guys in the next video, which will be the next one, Kwame 1. So like I said, this is a pretty long game, though. If you want to go in and do everything, I've seen people spend hundreds of hours. You could just barely outrun them, then you could sprint and be like, lol. Have fun. Anyways, that's, yeah. Like I said, that's Yakuza 0. I'll be playing the other ones. I'm really looking forward to it. They're all on Game Pass for now. And so... Or all but... The Kyriu games are all on Game Pass. So 0 through 6. And, yeah. End it here. I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be Kwame 1.